Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Today, I want to invite you to hang around and listen to a serious, most serious message. You've heard me say that the basic human rights are rights that individuals as human beings are given when they come on the earth. You know, when you come on the earth, there's something about your makeup that determines whether you are a human being or some other form of animal. You actually got the distinctions. And when you come here, you got what it takes to maintain that system. You got all of the arteries, you got the bones and the skin and all of that stuff framed up to maintain it. And so when you come here framed like that, you come to experience life, to thrill within that awesome sphere of life. And in order for that to happen, it was prepared just like the body was prepared to be here as a human being. Now, basically, I have always indicated, and I'm sure you would all agree, that in order to have any type of satisfaction, not only human beings, but every living thing must meet the survival requirements. And for us, we require food, clothing, and shelter. These things are kind of necessary, whether we're living in what we call a mansion or whether we're living in a cave, and whether we're eating steak or whether we're eating a dog. We require sustenance to survive. And to be able to progress and do it in some form of fashion, we have to learn to exercise a form of education. And we know what education does, so to be progressive, you think you should get the best education. Everybody should get the best education possible, that it would enable them to be the best that they could possibly be. That's when education becomes magnificent. And then you listen a little bit later, you're going to see why. But now, it's not just that we are here and educated and stuff like this. We want to make sure, because we're living in situations that sometimes might catch us off guard and might require some help to survive outside of the food. And that might take some medical care, some health care, more than just the food. Excuse me. But all of the things. And that being the case, my friends, health care, doctors, and everything that can fall within that category to enable us to perhaps avoid the sicknesses and diseases. And if for some strange mystery we grab hold to it, we got available to us our sisters and our brothers who are gifts from our Heavenly Father, our parent, to protect us, to give us that care. Magnificent. But that's not all. We find out that with all of us here and the various things that we do, we need to be able to get about. So we get the gift of transportation, and I mean almost every form you can imagine, from the wagon to the car to the train to the boat to the plane to the spaceship, you name it. It just keep on rolling, keep on rolling. All of that, a gift from that power that is responsible for me sitting right here and you right there listening, to bring all of that to we the people. The resources, nobody made these resources. They were given as gifts to the human race. Nobody can claim them. Nobody can morally possess them as their own, because they belong to all humankind. Now, when you have your needs met like this, when you don't have to suffer for anything, you live in peace, and we all want to live in peace. We are prosperous as we can see because we suffer for nothing. We're free. We are joyously living. Our dreams come true. That our needs, our wants, and our desires can be met at our leisure. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. I am telling you something. I am describing heavenliness to you. I do it all the time, but today, right now, it seems to be very special. We, my friends, got that right before us. All of that. And you know what? How were we able to do this? Well, look at it. We are creatures. We were created. The earth where we live on is created. The resources that are necessary for our survival is created. And it's a gift. All come from something else. We all exist. Everything exists by the power of something else. And following those basic principles and applying ourselves in this, the outcome is just what I described. And this is what I have been trying to offer to the American people for the past 40 years. Now, you know we're so far from that. And in the past, I've spent a lot of time being angry because I believed that you were playing games. I believed that you were a hypocrite because you were pretending to be something that would not produce this, so you had to be a hypocrite. And I called you a hypocrite. I called you, some of those who went to the extreme, I call you demonic. I call you possessions. I called you instruments of the devil. I call you instruments of Satan. Why? Because you caused pain. You caused suffering to so many people. You exercise something that is not recognized on the heavenly process. You begin to lie. You begin to cheat. You begin to steal. You begin to create the excuse me again. You begin to create the atmosphere for hatred, for racism, for bigotry, and all of these things, ladies and gentlemen. It's something that we as human beings have been exposed to all our lives in America and anywhere else. Some other places it's been worse. That's why we say that we have been living better than they have, because we say they live so much worse. Because they've experienced the stuff that we just getting introduced to now by Donald Trump. I mean, we've had all of this ugliness. We've had all of this evilness always. This nation was built on it. Let me say it again. This nation was built on it. And we never could admit it. We never could tell the truth. It's like doing something that with someone and you're ashamed of it. And you never admit it. And it's like you are in bondage to it. And you'll do anything to keep hiding it. You know what I'm talking about? It's like being in a closet. You remember some of your brothers and sisters that look at sexuality a little bit different than what's normal? And our human expression, lacking the expressions of love, but nothing but hate and everything that we've been taught, couldn't show any love to them, caused them to commit suicide, caused them to stay in the closet, didn't want anybody to know that they were human beings just like a man, human beings just like a woman, human beings. Well, you call that the deceptive voice, because that voice comes in and says that some are better than others, which is a lie. Some deserve more than others, which is a lie. Now, why is that so obviously a lie? Because the resources that have been created by the hands of man have been designed in such a way that each person who benefits from play a part in the the production of it, by engaging your gift, your own gift that God has given you, that your Creator gave you. So when you are here, can't nobody call you a nothing. Nobody can call you lazy and stupid and don't want to do anything. No, you came here with something to do, a gift that gives you the joy to do it. And just because you're not doing something doesn't mean that you're lazy. It means that you're living in a system that is designed in such a way that you are doing what somebody else wants you to do, not what God designed you to do. And as a situation, you're mean and you're, oh boy. Well, I don't have to describe you anymore, because that's what we all know about ourselves. I talk about you because I'm you. But I know something, ladies and gentlemen. I know that we can escape this. We can really escape this. Excuse me. I'll be right back. Yes, we can truly escape this if we do the right thing. But the truth of the matter is we don't know what the right thing is to do. And I know that because what I've been telling you is the right thing to do, and nobody's interested, it appears. Now, what I really am impressed about is that the power that brought us here have put us in a situation where we can see all that's been happening from the beginning of time to this right now. It is right before our eyes, from the time that we hear a story about Adam and Eve in the garden and given instructions about how to live, from the time that they were kicked out, all the way through all the world wars, and everything is right before our very eyes right now. We can't say what the people did back there. We can't talk about what the German people allowed Hitler to do, or what the people in Russia allowed those Russian people to do, or what the Italians, Mussolini and those guys, or what's happening all over the world. No, my friends. Here's the truth. Ever since that deception, ever since to this day, in Minnesota, in the United States of America, the world saw power, superiority over other people in Minneapolis when George Floyd was murdered. What happened to George Floyd is the same thing that's happening to the Ukrainian people right now. That killer that killed George Floyd is the same killer in Russia that's killing these Ukrainian people. They're the same. And everywhere that practices exercise, it's the same identical thing. We see people living in poverty. We see people living in tent cities and you name despicable stuff. Don't bring them here. You know what that's a result of? That is the result of a system that has, well, I don't have to be telling you this. In fact, if you're interested, you go listen to some of the other videotapes. But what I want you to know is that when Donald Trump came on the scene, all of that stuff that allowed you to be hypocrites, that you were able to get under the bed, under the rug, and pretend like you weren't a racist, that you could act like you didn't really hate people. You went to the church. You studied about Jesus. But then when the big voice that came out speaking ugliness and demonic stuff, when I talk about demonic, I'm talking about stuff that really caused pain to people, and doing it boldly, all of a sudden the carpets rolled back, the bedspreads rolled back, the jail cells were open, and all of that that's been hypocrisy that's been locked in under came out. And they came out by force. They came out with guns and sticks, planning to beat anybody that's objecting to the rule of man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the way we've been taught. We don't know any better. Or should I say, people who don't know God don't know any better. They don't know any better. They're caught in a trap. They can't go in the trap. Can't go. They're caught in a trap. And so I kind of realized that. But I still was upset because I wanted you to have enough compassion, have enough something inside of you, butter than a milk, that you would allow yourself to be better toward people. In America, we see now, we're not. Half of the nation almost bought into that vote, bought into that, those every demonic thing that Donald Trump, and they weren't ashamed about it. They put it right before the American people's face, and that same evil practice has told the American people that we are going to stack everything we possibly can and stack it, and we're going to get back in power, and we're going to whoop your butt. We're going to do the same thing to you that Russia is doing to Ukraine if you don't sit up and let us be boss. I mean, this is what they're basically saying to a people who say, well, we've got to find some normalcy. Maybe they'll come back. Not understanding that it is in this normalcy that this monster was created. You know what your normalcy means? Your normalcy means that we're going to take away the women's right to decide what happens to their body. Your normalcy means we're going to decide who can vote and who cannot vote. Your normalcy means we're going to do some gerrymandering around here and keep certain people in certain areas and causing pain and suffering. We're going to make sure that people suffer. That's what's going on. And I don't care how much I talk around there talking about what God has said. Can't sit around and think about how much you play a part in the success of life. That your brothers and sisters that's robbing stores and hijacking cars and getting mad with one another or shooting one another is the result of the system that has caused so much pain till it's messed up their brains, messed up their minds, messed up their heart, messed up everything that's real in them and turned them into all the stuff that we call despicable. We created that. American, the world, we created all that. And now we're fussing. Think we know somebody gonna fix it. No, this normalcy will never fix it. And so what I suggest that if the evil is going to go to the greatest extreme that it has ever gone to in this country, then why can't righteousness? Because see, evilness has taken over what wasn't as bad. So why can't righteousness take over what is good but ain't that good? And what am I saying by that? Treating everybody. Making sure, now when I say treating, this stuff don't just happen like that unless all the people agree with it. But now all the people are not going to agree with it just like that because half of the nation not going to believe it, just like you don't believe it. But once you make that change and you start talking about everybody got food, clothing, shelter, education, health care. Why? Because they work in something that they love doing. And there's no way, as long as God provides the resources, the minerals, and that's necessary to do the things that people want, it will be done. No way it can fail because everything is working together for it. But if you got some monster in here that wants to be God, you're going to tell you all kinds of stuff and will be God. Don't you think that Trump is God to those people that's lying in your face? Those guys that's on television telling you one thing one day and lying to you the next day, he is their God. And he's using money and power to keep them subjected to him. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the God of creation is saying, I made you. You couldn't exist without me. I am there. I am always there. Because I am the earth that you walk on. I am the food you eat, the water that you drink, the blood that runs through your vein is I. And you're going to suck God off for Trump? Meaning you're going to make sure that everybody, well, I forgot. You don't know any better. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to this last part of this thing. If you want to know the truth about the American people, and if you want to, I don't know about outside of this community. Let me just stay in America. If you want to know the truth about the American people, become poor. And you will see just how ungodly the American people are. See, they've been told if you get a shelter, put a shelter up. Put up food, on wheels and donate food and donate clothes, free clothes. Do all of this for the people. Get them to come to church, maybe on Sundays, feed them downstairs. This is good godly work. But you see, that's not expressive of a connection with the true God. That's an expression of the God that you have been permitted. And these are the limits that you have been given as far as expressing it. And when you do this, you think you're doing great. And some of you well, I started to tell you about it. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, this is how you limit yourself. But that's not the love of God. So, what you're doing when you stand playing in this normalcy stuff, you don't want to go anywhere. So, if you're poor, you will learn that you want the same things out of life that everybody else wants. Basic human rights. You want them, and you will never get them unless the system changes. You know that. So, when you hear that expression about the rich young guy that says, hey, God, Jesus, how can I get to this heavenly place? Now, I'm paraphrasing that, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't go like that. But you'll get the message. Go get rid of your rich stuff. Go get rid of your barns and all that stuff that's so valuable according to you. Get rid of it and serve it to those who need it. Down in the tent city, down over there in Mississippi and It'll Bend and Jackson. Go down over there in Oakland, California. Go over there in New York and all those places. Stick that stuff up. And God will be proud of you. But he said, what God gonna be proud of me? A God I can't see? And that's not the God I want to be proud of me. I want the world to be proud of me. I want the government to be proud of me. Or I want whoever's in power to be proud of me. And so you sell out. If you're poor, you will learn that. But if you turn to God, he'll show you what it means. And I guarantee you, if you spend years after years after years after years trying to educate a people that can't be educated, not by what God has given you to do, it's going to take something else. And God will make sure that their actions, not God, but their actions will produce what it takes to straighten them out. And if you have been through the stuff and you don't want to go through the stuff no more, you got to ask God to take you out. Now let me tell you what I'm saying. 40 years, I have seen angelic people become like demons. I'm serious, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen people that's been so nice and so kind become so mean and evil you just don't even want to look in their face. That's what living in a normal lifestyle will create. So, if you're poor, you're going to stay down there begging and begging, eating out of dumpsters, unless you go and violate some rules that they've set, or you die. Either way, they got something set for you. You can eat out the garbage can. They'll put you in jail if you don't act right, and you can die if you want. They don't care. But the key of it is, what about you? Look at it like this. This one they told you about, Jesus, he went to the cross. They said that was some painful stuff. I'm of the mindset that if it was Jesus the way they described Jesus, they didn't even feel it. We heard about Meshach. We heard about David. We heard about Daniel. But more than that, we heard about Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. We heard about Malcolm X. We heard about people in our own lifetime. We heard about Abraham Lincoln. We heard about John Brown. And so they're saying, if you want, and you don't want to be out there eating at the dumpsters, you're going to have to come on in. And you remember that's something that they talk about, the mark of the beast that you're going to have to take. And they're talking about putting the chip somewhere in your head, putting it in your hand. Some people sign that say, well, that means you're going to have to do the kinds of things that's necessary in order to be accepted within the system that would allow you to access. And so that means coming on back into the world, hustling, playing the game that's been set by the world. You might make it, you might not. But you have turned your back totally on heaven and heaven's way. And if it is absolutely necessary, because someone there, some people there want to experience this heaven, or because God wants you to experience this heaven, your fruit from your seed, what you sow, will be your reaping, will come back to you in such a way, that you'll be running to God, begging somebody to tell you about God, trying your best to get to God. Well, sometimes it takes that. Some people just learn by the experiences of others. So I didn't know how I wanted to title this. I really wanted to break it down and speak to you in parts, but I don't think that would be that good. But what I'm trying to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. I want to thank you for being my brothers and sisters for these 70-some odd years. I really, really wanted to spend my life. I wanted my life achievement to be that I was able to present the love of God to the human race in such a way that they all were drawn to God. And you could see it all over the community. And it wasn't on your knees singing songs, "Dear Lord, we thank you." You can do that. Nothing wrong with that. But it didn't mean that you couldn't go to a club and have a drink with your friends. It didn't mean that if you wanted to, a woman wanted to put on some pants, she couldn't. If she wanted to beautify herself by doing extra stuff to look good, put some fingernail polish on, put some flowers in her hair. Look good. Make people feel good when they see you. See, don't forget that old stuff, that old, if you look good, you're going to make men lust. That ain't got nothing to do with you. A man lusts because he got the dirtiness in his own heart. He got to clean that out. Not you. It's your job. And since you're not out there trying to look pretty to con some man for some money because you broke and hungry, nobody even worried about it. They want to look pretty too. Even old folks want to look pretty and stop looking so old. Put nice clothes on. You go to get yourself polished up and look good. Go to church looking good. Go shopping looking good. Go to your job looking good. 90 years old. Because you ain't been over no wheelchair far. Because God's medical profession has, come here, Duchess. Medical profession has prepared and protected you. Now you know what I'm talking about. So what I'm basically saying, ladies and gentlemen, I've given up. I'm tired. I'm tired. So I'm saying to God, Lord, I think I did my best, but I must confess, my heart is heavy. The tears are too much. I recognize that I can't change the world. And I realize that I've done what you have given me to do, and I recognize the change in me. And with this change in me, I'm living. If you ask me, this is not the place for me. When I'm talking about this, nah, I don't want to live where people are like we American people are. I don't want to live where we are like the people here are on this earth. I don't want to live where the heartless people run things. I don't want to live where those who got don't give a stink about those that don't. I don't want to have anything else to do with it. I spent 40 years trying to see if it make a difference, and I can see that the people are not ready. So all I ask you, dear God, is this. I don't have to say it. You already know it, and it's a secret between you and I. And the reason I don't want to say it because I know the devil is listening. The devil is listening. And what the devil hear me say is what the devil will try to do to me. So I'm going to let this be between you and I. I trust you, God. I thank you, God, for giving me these years. Before I accepted the call, it was fun. We all live when we're stupid, when we're kids, when we are children, let's put it this way. We act as children. When we grow up, growing up, I'm talking about in age, sometimes that don't mean we grow up with wisdom. And so we keep on acting like children. And you know, children are easily influenced, manipulated, persuaded. And so this is what is happening in America. This is what's happening across the globe. And this is my state right now. This is my status right now. And I want, like I said, I want the people to know I'm not mad with you. I think last night I was talking, and I talked about a tape about, I did something, was it the seal is broken? Maybe it wasn't. It was something. I don't know what it was. But I got so upset that I threw something, I almost passed out. I woke up this morning and I've been thinking about this stuff all day. Now, that's going too far. So, I want to let you know, I want to thank you for the opportunity, but I'll accept this as a loss. So, Father, thank you. Goodbye.